Hey everyone, and welcome back to Horror Movies for Life, and happy Friday the 13th to everybody out there. So I thought it would be fun to go ahead and do a tier list of all the Friday the 13th movies since it is Friday the 13th. Friday, June 13th, 2025. I did one of these a couple of years ago, and obviously I reviewed the franchise probably about 4 years ago, which I'm probably due to do at some point in the future. But I did a tier list, I think, in 2023, but it's been long enough now, and I've watched a few of these movies recently where I thought I would jump on here on Friday the 13th and go ahead and tier list all 12 Friday the 13th movies. So as you can see, I got my tier maker. I don't know if you guys can see as well. I've got my Friday the 13th shirt on. And of course, I've got my Scream Factory box set as well. All 12 films in here. So yeah, Friday the 13th. Let's just go ahead and get into it. So first we'll go over my I thought I'd spice it up a bit rather than do a like S, A, B, C, and D tier. Um I went ahead and and created my own tier. So the S tier is basically perfect nipple placement. If you're familiar with the franchise, that should mean something to you. The A tier is Mommy is Pleased. The B tier is Crystal Lake Badge, worthy of a badge. The let's see, C tier is Damn Enchiladas, and then of course the D or the F tier, whatever have you, is Dead Fuck. So hopefully you recognize four of those five anyway, not the middle one. I struggled to figure out what to put there. I just did Crystal Lake Badge, meaning that it's worthy. It's worthy of a Crystal Lake badge. But the other ones come directly from the Friday the 13th movie. So, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and start this thing off. And even though these aren't in the order of the movies, I'm gonna put them in the order of the movies. So we're gonna start with the original Friday the 13th movie from 1980, and I don't know, this might be a surprise to some people, but I'm going to put it in Crystal Lake Badge. I recently rewatched the first three Friday the 13th movies as part of my 1980s horror series that I'm doing. Of course, I've already done 80 and 81, and 82 is coming up in a month and a half, or yeah, in August. And I like Friday the 13th, the original, but I think it's a better slasher movie. I think it's a better 80s slasher movie than it is a Friday the 13th movie, or obviously more than a Jason movie since Jason's not even in it. That's the reason why I'm putting it in Crystal Lake Badge, kind of in the B tier, if you will. I can watch it. I do reach for it when I'm in the mood for like a summer slasher movie. But not necessarily when I'm in the mood for a Friday the 13th or obviously a Jason movie. So that's sort of my logic on why I'm putting it in Crystal Lake Badge. I understand its legacy. I understand what it did for not only the slasher genre, but like franchise genre and the whole Friday the 13th series. But at the same time, it's just not a movie that I reach for if I want a Jason movie. So that's why I'm going to put it in Crystal Lake Badge for the original Friday the 13th movie from 1980. And then moving on, we're going to go ahead and find. Is this Friday the 13th part 2? I don't really like these. It doesn't have. That's 6, that's 7, that's 5, 4, 3. Yeah, this one has to be part 2. And I'm going to put this under the A tier, Mommy is Pleased, which is kind of ironic because that phrase comes from Friday the 13th, Part 2. I liked it. I really like this movie. I think it is a step up from the original for me. Of course, you have Ginny as the final girl, which you just can't go wrong with her. She's great. I like the cast and the counselors a bit better in this movie. Obviously, you got Jason. It's Sackhead Jason, which that's not my favorite look for him, but it's still kind of creepy, especially if you watch it with all the lights out late at night. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't know. I just feel like the movie's better paced. It has one of the great jump scares at the end of the movie. If you know, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just think Friday the 13th Part 2 is a step up from the original, especially as a Friday the 13th movie. So that's why I'm going to put it in Mommy is Pleased with you, Friday the 13th Part 2. Now we go to Friday the 13th Part 3. Where is it? I just saw it not too long ago. Here it is. And I'm also going to put this one in Mommy is Pleased. This is the one that I watched most recently um, for 1982. I don't think I like it quite as much as Part 2. And it's probably because it doesn't take place at Crystal Lake. But that being said, I still like Higgins Haven. I like the barn, especially. It's iconic. I love Jason in this movie. He gets his hockey mask, but I love Richard Brooker's portrayal of Jason. I think it's definitely one of the stronger Jasons, the most human Jasons, if you will. Before he became all zombified here in a few movies. So I would put it behind Part 2, but definitely a Mommy is Pleased kind of movie for Friday the 13th Part 3. I think Chris is a good final girl. Probably not as strong as Ginny. And I really didn't care for the whole backstory with her being attacked by Jason in the past because it kind of messes up the whole timeline. Of course, this franchise is continuously messed up the whole timeline from the first movie on. But yeah, I don't know. I like Part 3. I think the kills are great. You got the guy on doing the handstand where he's walking on his hands that gets split in half. You just got some really good kills. You got the eye popping out of Chris's boyfriend. The 3D aspects. I've never watched it in 3D. It'd be kind of fun someday, but obviously I don't have a 3D TV or glasses or anything like that, so I watch it in 2D. But I enjoy the movie. I really do. So that's Part 3, and then we move on to Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Part 4. And this is going right up into perfect nipple placement. This is an S tier Friday the 13th movie from 1984. This is my favorite movie in the franchise. I'm not going to bury the lead on that. I just think it has the best characters. You have Crispin Glover, you have Corey Feldman, you have a great final girl played by Kimberly Beck as Trish. Even her mom, I kind of like, even though she's kind of a very sided character. But the other friends that come along. This is where we get the phrase "dead fuck" from. But of course, this movie doesn't belong in that category. This is perfect nipple placement. Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. I just love everything about it. The kills, the atmosphere, the characters, the Jason, of course, Ted White. He's right there with Richard Brooker as far as my favorite Jasons go in this franchise, and I think it's the quintessential Friday the 13th 1980s Friday the 13th movie. So that's why final chapters and perfect nipple placement. Now we move on to Part 5, and let's see, where do I want to put Part 5? I'm going to put it in Mommy is Pleased, and this might surprise some people for obvious reasons if you've seen the movie. I am going to put it behind Parts 2 and 3, as you see here. But I like this movie. I know it's not Jason. I get it. It's Roy, the ambulance driver. Spoiler alert. Hopefully I didn't ruin that for anybody. But I don't know. It's just, this is a weird, wacky movie that has weird characters and weird stuff going on. But it also has some of the best kills in the franchise. It has the best nudity in the franchise. Deborah Sue Voorhees, need I say more? The kills are fantastic. It's got some wit and some comedy to it, which doesn't always work. But I don't know. I kind of feel like this is the final of the original Friday the 13th before they go, obviously, before Part 6, where it kind of becomes more tongue-in-cheek and more zombie. They tried to do a repeat of the first movie in a lot of ways with the Whodunit, and it didn't work in a lot of people's minds. But I think this movie gets too much hate, and I'm still sticking at an 8 here. It's Mommy's Pleased. I'm pleased with this movie. So that's Part 5. Now we move on to Part 6, and Part 6. Well, okay. I'm not going to piss too many people off. I will put Part 6 ahead of Part 5 on the Mommy is Pleased tier, the A tier. And no, not all the rest of the movies are going to go in this tier. Don't worry. I like Jason Lives. It's not my favorite of the franchise. A lot of people it is, and that's fine. If you really enjoy the tongue-in-cheek and the Jason coming to life with a lightning bolt and the zombified Jason that would start here with C.J. Graham, I think, does a good job playing Jason. He's not my favorite. He's I would say he's on the upper half of the middle, probably right behind Richard Brooker, Ted White and the next guy that we're going to talk about here shortly. But he does a good job. I like the final girl of Megan in this movie. She's the hottest, in my opinion. The kills aren't quite as good. This is when the MPAA started sticking their big nose into our franchises here in the 80s and screwing everything up. But it is better than what the next couple movies will be. Yeah, I don't know. I like this movie. Not all the... Some of the tongue-in-cheek comedy is a little bit over the top for me, but... and it's kind of a shame that a lot of this movie takes place during the daytime. At least during the first half of the third to the first 2/3 of the movie. But yeah, Jason Lives is great. I mean, at this point, they knew they had to, in order to keep the franchise going, they had to do something different. They kind of had to get out of the traditional, the first 4 or even 5 movies of the Friday the 13th formula. So I understand it, and I enjoy Jason Lives. So that's why it's in my Mommy is Pleased, right behind parts 2 and 3. Now we go to Friday the 13th, part 7, The New Blood. And I'm going to put this in Crystal Lake Badge, and I'm going to put it ahead of, well, first of all, rest in peace, Lar Park Lincoln. I have to get that out there. Of course, she passed away about a month and a half ago, not that long ago. We miss you, Lar. It sucks that cancer struck another one, but, forever in our hearts for sure. And like I said, I have a video up that I was fortunate enough to meet her about a year and a half ago. Wonderful, wonderful person to meet. But anyway, actually, you know what? I'm going to put it behind the original in Crystal Lake Badge. I think it's okay. I mean, I think the movie could have been a lot better, obviously, if the MPAA hadn't butchered it like they did. And even, what's his name? The director, John Carl Buechler, I think it is. He even said that the MPAA raped his movie, basically, which is an interesting way to say it. But I understood what he was saying. I do like Lar Park Lincoln as a final girl. You know, some people say this is kind of where it started to get gimmicky. But I mean, what else could they really do? If you're going to have Jason in these movies, you gotta have him go up against some formidable foe at this point. You're not just gonna, they wrapped up the Tommy Jarvis trilogy with part 6, so they had to go in a different direction, and so I don't blame him. I just wish we could have seen the kills, because from the looks of it, they would have been awesome. But unfortunately, the MPA just wouldn't allow. But I hate the ending of this movie, too, how Jason is vanquished. I like how he comes back. I like the continuity between part 6 and 7, how he's, put in the lake at the end of part 6, and then Tina, with her telekinetic powers, ends up breaking him out of his chains, I should say, and he comes out of the lake that way. But the ending of this movie, the very end, I mean, when Jason is vanquished, is terrible. There's only one movie that's worse, and we'll get to that next, but as far as an ending goes. But anyway, I still like part 7, though. I think because of Lar Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder's first performance as Jason, and it's my favorite one of his. The look of Jason is great, of course, when he gets his mask broken off. There's some good stuff in this movie. Like I said, it's really a missed opportunity. I can't even blame the director or the producers. This is just during a time where the MPAA, if you can't do those that can't do, or how's the phrase go? Those that can't do criticize or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, I'm sure. But anyway, that's part 7. I am going to put it behind the original, because I think the original works better as a slasher than part 7 works as a Jason Friday the 13th movie overall. But it's close. And now we have part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And I'm sorry to do this, but this is a dead fuck here. This movie just does no. I've seen it like 3 times, and every time I've watched it, it doesn't improve. Of course, we know most of this movie takes place on a boat. They advertised it as Jason Takes Manhattan. Of course, they probably should have realized they didn't have the money before they actually taglined that. And of course, even parts of it in New York aren't actually New York. It's shot in Toronto or Vancouver, I think it was. The parts that are in New York are great, but they're few and far between. The characters are probably the least interesting in this movie. I did meet the final girl a few years ago, Rennie, played by Jensen Daggett. She's a very nice lady, very friendly, but her as a final girl, they didn't really give her much to chew on there. But really, all the characters are just sort of a waste in this movie. And like I said about part 7, the ending of it that I hate. Part 8's even worse. where you get the toxic sludge thrown on Jason, and he basically reverts back to not a mongoloid child, a regular child, which makes absolutely no sense in the context of this franchise. Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's one good kill, like everybody talks about, and that's the boxer kill where the guy gets his head knocked off by Jason. Other than that, it's a struggle to watch this movie. It really is. It's definitely one of the last ones I would reach for. So that's why I have to be honest and put it in dead fuck. Those that have nostalgia for it, I kind of understand it. As you're going to see with another movie, which was the first time watch for me coming up here, that a lot of people would have in this category. It's not going to be in this category, but we'll get there. So that's Jason Takes Manhattan. Now we get to Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday, Part 9. Yeah, Final Friday, my ass. This one is hated by most people in the franchise. I don't hate it quite as much, but I can also recognize its problems. I'm going to put it in the damn enchiladas. I think the movie's well made. I think it's well directed by Adam Marcus. I like, oh, I'm going to forget the actor's name. He plays Drayton Duke. Oh, shoot. Why can't I think of his name? And I just watched the Crystal Lake Memories, too. I forget the actor's name, but you know who I'm talking about. The black fella that plays Creighton Duke. Not, what did I say? I said something else. I also like John D. LeMay, who plays kind of the final guy, if you will. They're good. The movie, I mean, it's not a Jason movie. It's not a Friday movie. I'll give you that. But I think it is. At this point of the franchise, again, I'm a little bit more forgiving because it's Part 9. I mean, they've had him fight Carrie. They've had him go to New York. Not really. And so it's only logical that he goes to hell now and basically possesses people through body transfer. Like I said, though, the movie does have a lot of great kills, a lot of great scenes. There's a pretty good sex scene in a tent. The acting is good. The directing is good. So I guess I'm rewarding this movie more on the technical aspects and less on the... Again, I'm putting it in damn enchiladas. It's not like I'm saying Mommy's Pleased or even Crystal Lake Bad. So it's just not my least favorite of the franchise. But it's got its problems. But I think from a technical standpoint, I think their intentions were good. I just don't think that... it's just... it's not a Jason movie, as most people have said. So that's Jason Goes to Hell. Now we get to Jason X or Jason 10, whatever have you, and Your Eyes Do Not Deceive You. I'm putting this in Crystal Lake Badge. I am putting it behind the original in Part 7. This is the first Friday the 13th movie that I ever watched. I think it was on Sci-Fi, which this movie is a very Sci-Fi channel kind of movie. But I have fun with it. I think it's a much better Jason movie than Jason Goes to Hell. Obviously, it's cheesy, it's ridiculous, Jason in space, but again... It's Part 10 now, 10 movies in. Where else could he go? Excuse me. I'm going to forgive it for that. Oh, just let me get my bearings here. Shoot, I don't have any water or anything. Shake it off. Okay, I think I got it now. Oh, maybe not. One of the best kills in the franchise with the frozen liquid nitrogen kill. I like the look of Uber Jason. I don't like the look of Jason as regular Jason at the beginning of this movie. Talk about going cheap on it. I didn't really like the look of Jason in Jason Goes to Hell either. But I actually dislike his look in this movie even more. Not Uber Jason. I'm talking about regular Jason, the first half of the movie before he gets the upgrade. Because you can see Kane Hodder's hair and his eyes, and it's like... It's basically just Kane Hodder with a Halloween paper mask on. I don't know why they couldn't just take the mask from Part 7 or Part 8 or something, but I don't know. But like I said, I have a lot of fun with this movie. It has a great callback kill. Sure, the characters are kind of stinky and the acting's not good, and it does look like a Sci-Fi Channel movie. But at this point, again, if this were Part 6 or Part 5, I'd have more of a problem with it. But 10 movies in, this is still a good Jason movie. Well, it's not a good Jason movie. It's not a good movie, period. But I have nostalgia for it because it's the first one I watched, and I think there's some fun to be had with the kills and stuff here. Also, the corkscrew kill I didn't mention. So I'm going to put it in Crystal Lake Badge, right in the middle here, but after After these, 7. So it's no better than 8. So don't get your panties in a bun. Okay, 2 movies left. We have Freddy versus Jason. And I'm gonna look on this as a Jason movie, obviously, because I'm doing the Friday the 13th franchise, and as that, uh, nah, eh. I'm gonna put it in Damn Enchiladas, right ahead of Jason Goes to Hell. I was debating whether or not should be after Jason Goes to Hell, because Jason Goes to Hell I think is a better directed and a technically more sound movie, but I think Freddy versus Jason is more of a it's not a Friday the 13th movie. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. For those of you that don't know, the Nightmare on Elm Street studio ended up getting the rights to Jason, not to Friday the 13th. Um, why can't I think of the name of it? New Line Cinema. Jeez. And you can tell that this is a Freddy movie in essence, but Jason gets most of the kills to his credit. And I think the kills are pretty good. I don't really like any of the human characters. And I think the fight between Freddy and Jason's pretty over the top at the end. A little too cartoonish for me, but it did sort of satisfy that childhood obsession of what would happen if Freddy and Jason were in the same universe and fought each other. So it's not horrible. I can watch it, but it's not one of the better Jason movies, one of the better Friday the 13th movies. That's why it's in Damn Enchiladas, third from the bottom. And then finally we have the remake from 2009, the movie that I think I'm going to watch tonight before I go to bed here for my Friday the 13th 2025 date here. Because I've only seen it twice, or actually once and a half. I'm due for a rewatch on it. Where do I want to put this one? You know what? Do I want to put it in Mommy Is Pleased or Crystal Lake Badge at the beginning or the end? No. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. So Mommy Is Pleased. I'm going to put it ahead of Part 5 slightly, but behind 6, 3, and 2, and of course 4. I think this movie's fine. I think it's a very 2000 slasher movie. I like some of the things with Jason, especially Derek Mears, who plays him. I like some of the characters, like Jared Padalecki and Danielle Panabaker. They're definitely the 2 best actors in the movie. The kills are great. The first 20 minutes before the opening credits is awesome. Maybe some of the best sequences of the entire franchise. After that, it has its moments, but it's not quite perfect nipple placement, even though that's where we got that phrase from. A certain sex scene that's will go nameless. If you know, you know. But yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good. Some people have it as their favorite of the franchise. I don't quite fall into that category because I am more of an 80s Jason fan. But I can't deny the fact that for 2009, it was a well done reimagining, a reboot, not a remake. Because if it were a remake, then it wouldn't even have Jason in it. If they were remaking Friday the 13th, it's basically it's a reimagining of the first 4 movies, is what it is, in my opinion. So, but as you can see, I'm a fan of Friday the 13th. I have 5 movies in Mommy Is Pleased, the A tier, 1 in perfect nipple placement, which is Part 4, the final chapter. I have 3 in the B tier, Crystal Lake Badge, the original 7, and Jason X. I have a couple in Damn Enchiladas, Freddy versus Jason and Jason Goes to Hell. And then I have one dead fuck, which of course is Jason Takes Manhattan, which he really doesn't. So with all that being said, that's my, as of June 13th, 2025, Friday the 13th, that's my tier ranking for the Friday the 13th movies, all 12 of them. Go ahead and give me your ranking. You don't have to do a tier ranking, but you can just put them down in the comments below. I'd be curious to see where I stack up with others. Not that I'm going to change any of my opinions based on that, but it's just kind of curious to see where other people have their movies. So please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to, it would really help me out. But yeah, with that being said, I hope everybody's having a good Friday the 13th. Hope you enjoyed this tier list ranking, and as always, stay scared. Bye.